Everyone, Chris here from IELTS Advantage with another success story. So today we have Nici, who's going to share her success with you guys so that you can learn from her. Nici, can you start off by just introducing yourself to everyone?
Yes, sure. My name is Nici Martin and I live in Cape Town, South Africa, and I'm 28 years old. And yes, I'm finally part of the success story after trying to complete the IELTS 3 times. So yeah, I guess I'm just here to share my story today and hopefully just help someone else who may have been going through some stuff.
Sure. So you had to do it 3 times, or did you fail 3 times, or you did the test 3 times?
No, I failed 3 times. Sorry, I failed twice. I failed twice. I passed on the 3rd time.
So tell us about the first one. What happened then? What did you do? What happened?
Listen, I'll be honest, it was quite humiliating. I'm a first language English speaker. I got an A for English in matric, and going into the IELTS, I guess we thought that we'd done enough research and we sort of knew what to expect, but it's another animal. I mean, we left the exam thinking we think that we'd done everything. You know, we'd done some of the practice tests that they have available for free. I didn't know about IELTS Advantage at the time, and we ended up getting our results, and I only got 6.5 for reading, 6.5 for writing, and then 9 for speaking, and 8.5 for listening. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think we were quite devastated because it's also quite a lot of money for us, especially with the exchange rates. This also put a halt on our departure going to Canada, immigration proceedings. So then I needed to apply to write it again. And as you, and I'm sure many other people know, there's sometimes 2 to 3 months waiting period for the rewrites in your city. So I actually ended up booking to write it again in PE. And so I flew to Port Elizabeth and wrote it again after using IELTS Advantage. But I just really struggled with the time that you had allotted for the writing. I think I spent too much time trying to generate ideas and maybe not always coming up with relevant examples to link them together. And I actually just would get into the exam and panic. I didn't do enough practice.
Okay.
Writing the various types of essays. That's essentially what it actually comes down to. Mm-hmm. I think people can walk into those exams and think, more clearly and not panic. And I think because there was so much pressure of knowing, number one, this exam is very expensive. Number 2, your immigration depends on it. Mm-hmm. You sort of end up just panicking a bit in the exam and overthinking things and overcomplicating something that is actually quite simple once you've done enough practice.
Mm-hmm. I actually went through a similar experience this week. Even though I'm 35, I still don't know how to drive, and I'm learning how to drive at the moment. And we have a theory test where you go in and you sit at a computer and you have to answer lots of questions about driving and about the rules and all of that. And I was like, oh, it's going to be easy. But when I sat in that chair, I started to get really nervous. And I think that I passed. It was okay. But I think that the first 5 or 10 minutes, I started doubting myself. And I started to really overthink everything.
Exactly.
And I know that it is, even though I got like 96% or something like that, but I really started to doubt myself, and I had to kind of start to give myself the same advice that I give to students, which is like, calm down and breathe, and then I was fine. But I totally understand what it's, even for a native English speaker, nerves and panic and thing that's not related to your language, not related to your intelligence, not related to any of that, it can cause you to get a lower mark. Would you agree with that?
I completely agree. My profession, I work as a senior tax consultant, so I
might need your help.
I can help you. So, one would think that spending your day reviewing other people's work and also checking people's work for grammatical accuracy and writing formal tax opinions. But the IELTS, you actually really need to learn and study for, because there's very specific things that they look for. There's specific grammar they want you to use. You don't necessarily have to memorize structures, but if you don't know how to answer each type of question correctly, you aren't going to answer it in full, and you aren't going to get the marks that you need. So yeah, you have to sit down and study and learn exactly what the IELTS needs, because otherwise you're just wasting your money.
Yeah. So we won't focus too much on speaking, obviously, because you're, you know, a band 9 speaker, and we don't need to worry about that. And listening, obviously, your listening is pretty much perfect. But let's talk about reading and writing. Those are the two that you got 6.5 in.
Yes.
And then eventually that you were able to get the scores that you needed. So let's focus on reading first. What's the difference between the first time you did it and the last time you did it? What were the main differences?
I think the main differences was also practicing more. So I got used to different types of questions, because the way that they word the questions, or the question, can really determine how you're meant to answer it, or whether you're actually giving the correct or the incorrect answer. So doing some more practice with that, studying more with regards to the different types of questions and how they try and trick you, because they do try and trick you. So if you aren't practicing reading the questions very carefully and looking for specific keywords on how you need to answer and what they're looking for, then you're not going to get the mark you need. The other thing that I really noticed was, I've gone completely blank.
That's okay.
What was that about band 9 speaking? With reading, it was also very important to practice doing it within the specific time frame. Because if you aren't reading text, the type of texts that they give you in the exam frequently, especially when you get to the final question, the text is long. They are often, you have to read a lot of text for a few answers. Then you're going to run out of time, even if you can read really well and you can answer the questions. If you're not a fast reader, if you can't interpret and understand similar words or synonyms, you're going to struggle as well. So again, you need to practice your reading, different types of texts, and then you will be fine. I must say, between the first and the third exam, I actually made a point of starting to read more. So, you know, we live in a society where everything is videos or pictures, and you want something that's easily accessible, instead of sitting down, slowing down your life and taking the time to read the news instead of just watching a 5-second video clip. So I started reading more websites like News 24, BBC News, and different types of texts as well, which made it easier when you got into the exam. You were able to quickly read newspaper pamphlets or longer, illustrative articles, and understand and interpret the different types of words they use. Yeah,
because reading is a skill, you know, and reading for 1 hour is something that people don't do very often.
No.
When in normal life, when do you maybe you read before you go to bed, or maybe you read for studying, but the vast majority of people these days do not read solidly for 1 hour, and definitely do not actively read, like looking for specific things and that. So, it's just like any other, it's just like, running. If you don't run ever and you need to run a marathon, you're going to really struggle.
Exactly.
Or lifting weights, or, anything like that. So that's great advice. So, writing, you've already talked about the different types of essays and the different types of questions, but what else would you say about the difference between your 6.5 and what score did you get eventually?
I got 7.
Okay, so what was the difference?
So I think, again, when I got into the exam, you do panic a little bit, and I was really hoping to get a higher mark, but at least
good enough.
Yes. I think the main difference was practicing answering the different types of questions within the specific time frame. So in saying that you have to learn at least the different types of structures and understand them, there's no use in doing that if you aren't going to practice answering the questions within the said time frame. Because both times, the first and second time, I struggled with answering within the 40 minutes for the second question and 20 minutes for the first question. So the one thing that I also struggled with, and this also ties back straight into not having enough time, was being able to write the essay and have time left over to review.
Sure.
So the one trick that I started practicing was read every sentence as soon as you've written it. Quickly note if there's any changes that you need to make. So read each sentence as you go, read each paragraph when you're finished with the paragraph, and then at the end, if you find that you only have 2 or 3 minutes to quickly read through everything, you know that at least after each sentence and after each paragraph, you have already proofread most of it.
Yeah.
So if you find you've only got 2-3 minutes at the end of the essay, that's enough time to do a quick read through and make sure that you haven't made any more silly mistakes, which can be the difference between passing and failing, which is
definitely. Like, even though like writing is part of my job and I write every single day, every time I write something, I make mistakes and I have to correct them. Everybody does. And so that technique, which I teach a lot of my students, is every sentence, review it. And then every paragraph, review the whole paragraph. And then at the end of the essay, review it again. So you're reviewing every sentence 3 times, basically.
Yes, exactly.
And that means that you're not, because if you leave all your review to the end, then it makes it difficult to fix things because you've already done everything.
Yes.
But if you're, and it also means that your writing flows a lot better because you've just reviewed the sentence, and then that means that you should connect that sentence together, and it definitely does make a big difference, and it saves you time actually, because it does actually, because a lot of people, when you say you should plan or you should check, they're like, oh, I don't have time, but these things do actually help you.
That was actually the other thing that I really practiced doing, was the planning beforehand. For the first time, I didn't do any planning. I thought surely I can just make a few notes of what I want to talk about and then I'll be fine. Second time, I did a little bit of planning, but clearly not enough. And the third time, I did my planning, I stuck to my proofreading, and I managed to make sure that my coherence and cohesion mark was also high enough because everything flowed nicely. Yeah,
I know, like you're moving to Canada. Would it be a good idea to just, move to Canada the day that your flight is and without any planning? Like that would be a disaster, Like, I'm going to the United States on business in 2 weeks, and I've already planned the hotel, and I've even planned like where I'm eating dinner each night, and different, getting a car from the airport. Because if I just did what a lot of people do, is like wake up in the morning, oh, I'm going to San Francisco today, it's a complete disaster, So planning is a good investment of time. It saves you a huge amount of time, and and if you split up writing into 3 sections: planning, thinking, which is your first stage, then writing, second stage, then checking, third stage, it dramatically improves things. It really does. Excellent, Nici. Well, good luck in Canada, and thank you very much for sharing your success with everyone. And if I ever have any Canadian tax issues, I'll be sure to
let me know. South African tax or Canadian tax?
Yeah, well, luckily it's just UK tax, so that I'm dealing with. So thank you very much, Nici. And if you need anything in the future, just let me know. And good luck to you and your family.
Thank you so much, and I hope everyone who watches this manages to also just not do, go through the same struggles that I went through. Learn from my mistakes.
That's what these videos are all about, and if people follow that advice, they're going to really, really help themselves. So thank you very much, Nici, for helping everyone. Okay, bye-bye. You're welcome. Bye.